Hello, Dustin.
What do you want?
I want to talk to you about Jesus.
Okay.
We've got to talk about Kevin.
Kevin.
I made a windscreen for my microphone out of a sock.
Sweet.
Threw a sock on top of that thing.
That's what she said. Hey, can you see me, by the way?
No, I can't. Why isn't that possible? Oh, I think I know why. The fucking image capture's open. Let me see. What else is open that uses my camera? Nothing. What the hell? No, you can't see me either, I assume. What?
No.
Turn my camera on, motherfucker.
Boom.
There it is. See, as soon as you're rude to the machines, they work.
Alright, here we go. I'm rolling.
Alright. I'm rolling as well.
Situate the mic.
I'm going to experiment with my microphone closer to me this time.
Okay.
Because every time I see video of, like, people doing their podcasts, it's always, like, right here. I don't get it.
Oh, that does sound a lot better.
Really?
Actually, yeah.
Well, maybe I'll just, like, talk all up on it like this.
Well, then perhaps I will too.
Yeah. Put a sock over yours. See what it sounds like.
Okay, then.
Oh.
I don't know. Oh. Powerpuff Girls. Indeed.
Ouch.
I don't know what to say to that.
All right. You got just a clap?
Yeah.
All right, just give me that old clap.
All right, here you go.
All right. I bet that's how suddenly the onset of the clap is. I bet it's...
Probably.
Yeah.
1 minute you're clean, the next minute, not so much.
Next minute you're clapping all the way home from the doctor. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 47 of the HooperCast. It is Monday, December 12th. Correction, it was definitely December 2nd, not December 12th. 2013. Hello, Dustin.
Hello, Hooper.
How are you?
I'm quite well.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we podcasted.
It's been a long time.
Our lives have been quite busy.
Indeed, they have.
When was the last time we podcasted? I believe it was about... was it about Man of Steel?
I don't think we did one for Man of Steel.
That's right, we just kind of skipped it.
Was it Iron Man 3?
No, we did one after that. Anyway, our loyal listeners know what we talked about last time. All of you loyal listeners in the Middle East and 3 of you in America. Thank you so much for listening. You've kept the Hooper ship above sea level, although that's about it. Because
Yep.
a lot has changed since we podcasted. I'll go ahead and get this out of the way. We've moved. If you can see,
Yeah.
The listeners can't, but Dustin can, because I don't want fucks to know where I live. But yeah, it's a nicer place, man. We're on the other side of town now, but
It's pretty awesome.
a little cheaper, but like way better.
Yeah.
So I can't really turn the computer. I'll show you later, I guess.
Okay.
This is good pod. But yeah, so that was excruciating. Oh, I got a few anecdotes about this moving process, by the way.
Okay.
So we priced this place out, all right? And this place was tied basically in price. We were looking for a 2-2, right? Mm-hmm. Not a ballerina skirt. 2-bedroom,
Right.
2 baths.
Yes.
Can you hear that?
I can. Sounds like someone's trying to break into Hooper's place. So he's now left the computer to see if there's a burglar.
What is that? What the fuck? That's just so... It freaked me out, man.
Yeah, that was weird.
Because you could hear it, right?
Yeah, I thought there was like the Tattletale Strangler behind
Yeah,
it.
it was just like... There was just silence, and all of a sudden, like
Yeah.
against the door, like a creature with claws, like, "Hoopa!"
The hash slinging slasher.
Yeah, or Who's in Rabbit's House or whatever that was.
Mm-hmm.
What was this? Oh, it's just a power washing notice. Okay. Anyway, so we're looking for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and so it was between this place and another place that's basically off the same main drag. Same prices. The other place was like, oh, but we'll also pay for your cable. We were like, yo. So we were going to pick them. Yeah. So as we're leaving, I have like measuring tape with me. And so we actually get to tour the other place. We didn't tour this place before we started renting here. We're going, and I got measuring tape. I'm like, I don't need it. They'll have the dimensions on the brochure, and that'll be the end of it. We get the brochures, and so we're in the car, and I'm looking, and they're blank, and I may have already told you this, but basically, it was like a 3-week back and forth with this place just to find out how big the bedroom was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I do remember this.
And it never got resolved. Like, they just never got back to me about it. Didn't even send maintenance over there to measure it. I had to berate them about it. And eventually Mrs. Hooper just said, let's just go for a 2-1. So we went back to this place, who had like way better staff, just way nicer staff, lower price. And so we came in to look at the place before we officially signed the lease. But we were just like, this is fine. Like, it has an extended living room, a smaller balcony. We don't really use the balcony that much. Washer dryer connection. So, it was just a nightmare at the other place. So we finally settled here, and we started here in November, and the other place wasn't going to end until December. So we had a month where, November I had to pay 2 rents, and that was tough. But the flip side was we had plenty of time to move out. So Mrs. Hooper had time to come over here and paint the baby's room. So we got that all painted. It looks really nice.
What color is it? I saw a couple of paint swatches.
Lavender. It's the
okay.
same color as my GarageBand sequence, actually.
Gotcha.
So it looks good. So she had time to do that, and I spent one weekend with a friend hauling everything that was big over this place. So we finish up getting everything big over here. So I just take every day. I just go get a small amount of stuff from the other place. We have till December 1st, I was told. Okay. So I'm going to get in the mail from that other place too. And this was on Thanksgiving Day. This was on the 28th of November. And I remember it because Thanksgiving I was off of my morning job, so I had time to go over there and just get the rest of the glass and food out of the fridge was all I was supposed to get out of there. Because the whole plan was, okay, on Friday we're both off of both jobs, so we have time to go over there and clean it and get everything else in 2 carloads and blah, blah, blah. Right. And then, on Saturday we can give them the keys and we'll be fine. So I go over and I pick up the notice, and it's like, and so it's like, sewer charges, stuff like that that's, 2 months behind on their end kind of stuff. December rent. I was like, excuse me? And it said it was charging me for rent for December.
Really?
I was like, mm-mm.
Yeah.
So I walk over to the office, and they're closed. They have a sign that says the observance of the holiday will be off, 28th and 29th will be in Saturday. Right. And I was like, son of a bitch. So I'm really angry. So I call my wife, and I explain, I'm just like, they're trying to charge us the same rent, and they're trying to get more money. Those are the same thing. And we're trying to... I'm trying to figure it out. She's trying to calm me down. And I was just like, well, whatever. Like, She's like, don't let it ruin your day. And I'm like, this is like $700. It's kind of ruining my day. Yes. So, I was like, whatever. And so I call Sam, who's, a law student. And I was like, Sam, take me through the scenarios here. Like, let's just say they did it on purpose. They're trying to blah, blah, blah. Let's say I tell them no. What if I just told them not paying it? Yeah. And if they say, yes, you are. Then what do I do? And he says, well, you could take it to small claims court. And he said, I'd go find your lease. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. So I come back here and look at my lease, and I look at the lease term. And it actually says, from November whatever to November 28th, 2013. I was like, so if this actually went into small claims court, I need to be out of here today. Like everything. Yeah. Right. Now they had told me December 1st on the phone, my word against theirs. Right. But I thought, well, I still have the end of the day to get everything out of here. So I went so I was like, so I was grabbing like everything, everything else that was left, and there's a bunch of just trash and a lot of small stuff, which was the worst. Right. So I'm pulling everything out of there, and I thought, worst case scenario, they charge me for not cleaning it, but at least legally, I've done my duty to be out of here.
Right.
You know, and I even made a video and like saved it in 3 different places with a timestamp on it, like my watch, like I'm a fucking kidnapper, you know, with a newspaper, and like so.
If you ever want to see your child again.
Oh my god, I made a video and I was like, hi, my name is Hooper. Well, you know. I didn't say Hooper.
Yeah.
I was like, I live at...
That'll stand in court.
Yeah. But like,
this guy don't even know his name.
I showed my driver's license. I was like, to verify, I actually said the words like to verify my identity. And I showed the entire part. I was like, look, empty, blah, blah, blah. And I explained the whole situation on the video. And I was like, this is basically in case they try to, you know, what holds up in court. So So I get all paranoid about it. But I'm really like, I don't know. I mean, they'll try to do that. Of course, Jack was like, yeah, man, they'll try to get money out of you any way you can. So I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to charge you. I looked on the lease for like automatic renewal, but we wouldn't. It wouldn't have been that because I gave my notice like 2 months in advance. So I was just thinking like, there's just got to be no way. And so I called him on Saturday, and I left him like an angry message and everything. Like I'm fired up about it.
And I want to hear that message.
And then on Saturday morning, I basically. I can almost word for word reenact it. Like I was just all like, okay, so I looked at my mail and I said, I looked at my mail and I see you're charging for December rent, and that's kind of confusing because
I don't live here.
Because I don't live here. Basically, I was like, because my lease ends December 1st, so I think you made a mistake. And if it's not a mistake, we got to figure it out because that's money I don't have. Like I'm not going to give it to you. So I'll be in there Saturday with my keys and we can talk about it. And I hung up. I was just like, yeah, good job, Hooper. Good job. So basically, I called them on Saturday before we go. I even told Mrs. Hooper, I said, could you be with me like Saturday morning when I go in there? Because I feel like I'll be way better if you're standing there also angry. Right. She was like, I don't want to get up early, and I was like, okay, well, I'll just go by myself then. so I got up and I called them and I was like, hey, what time are you guys, your hours, making sure, like, oh yeah, we're here all day. And I was like, oh, okay, well, okay, maybe you can clear this up for me. And I just launched into it. She was just like, yeah, just ignore that. I was like, oh? She goes, yeah, sometimes the computer doesn't recognize people give their notice, so don't worry about that. The charges, like the other stuff that has like the service period while you're still there. I mean, we do get billed for those, but those are like $30. You're not bad. Yeah. And they said, yeah, don't worry about that. Don't worry about the rent. You won't be charged for that. I was like, oh, okay. Well, thank you. Yeah. And wow. I was so ready to fight these people on that. It's really a non-story, but it really did for like 2 days kind of ruin my holiday because all I was thinking about was, where am I going to get $700? Right. Exactly. And, I was thinking, like, I have money in savings. Sure. But, that money's for my daughter. It's not for those fucks. It's not for them. You know how long it took me to get that there? It took so long. So many podcasts that we got paid for. Wait a minute. Yeah. We're in the clear as long as they don't find the hole in the wall I put there. Next day, we were pulling, like, nails and stuff out of the wall, and it was a screw, but I thought it was a nail. So I pull on it, and just a fist-sized thing of the wall just comes out with it. I was like, and I thought Mrs. Hooper was gonna rip my head off. She just laughed. Yeah. And we were like, well, we put it back. I kept trying to just push with it back. With some chewing gum. I kept trying to just push it back quick, chew all the gum. Yeah. And she's like, well, wait, hold on. Don't put it. Stop touching it before it falls apart, into other pieces. Right. We'll go get the spackling because we have to do that anyway. And we'll basically just glue around it. We'll use the spackling as like an adhesive and smooth it out. Maybe they won't find it. Although she's convinced they're going to find it. And I'm like, I don't think so. So they might. Talk about the telltale heart, because I'm just thinking, like, I just hope they don't get a call like, yeah, there's a big hole in the wall. So I'm hoping the fact that it's right by the front door is just hiding in plain sight. Yeah, true. Although if that's where they congregate, they'll look straight at it. Well, you were in that apartment. Remember when you walk in and there's I guess that was before we hung the chalkboard there, because that's what Kellen and Caitlin gave us for our wedding. Mm-hmm. But right when you walk in, basically where the trash can was, right above that.
Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah,
So,
yeah. And it was a fist size piece?
pretty much.
Wow. That is crazy.
It's not that deep. Most of it's just the face of it, but enough to where like it comes off the white wall and there's like the brown and then like kind of a smaller hole. So it's really not that bad, but it would probably go under the not normal wear and tear that they provide for. So who knows? We might get charged for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, now we're in this place. We're out of the other place completely. So it's nice. My dad was talking on the phone with somebody about it, and he was like, "Yeah, they traded it up. Like, it's way better." And I was like, "All right."
Yeah.
So, it's good stuff. We have cable now, too, so I've been DVRing shows.
Yes. That's always fun, because then you hardly ever get around to watching all of it.
Yeah, it's sort of piling up. I haven't been able to watch it. Anyway, how's life been for you?
It's been great. Recently, I went to Orlando. This is my adventure for last month was I went to Orlando for a couple of days, spent some time with John, and we did Universal Studios Islands of Adventure. That was awesome. I had a great time. Saw the new Simpsons area at Universal. Really cool. They have like Moe's Tavern and, Krusty Burgers and all kinds of cool stuff. And the only thing I didn't get was a Lard Lad donut. I wanted one, but I didn't get one. And it was Halloween Horror Night, so we did all the haunted houses like Walking Dead, American Werewolf in London, Cabin in the Woods, and those were really cool. They put a lot of work into that kind of stuff, and it's really awesome. And then from there, I went to Savannah, which is the first time I've been back to Savannah since we graduated, and I went to the Savannah Film Festival and worked at the Trustees. My station was at the Trustees. That's where they put me, and I stayed there pretty much all week. Met a couple of cool people like Norman Reedus. Said hey to Alec Baldwin. That was about it. But it's a lot of fun. The film festival is always really cool. For anybody out there that's listening that hasn't been to the Savannah Film Festival, check it out because it's pretty cool, and it grows every year, and every year it gets more and more like variety, and it's just really cool, and there's something for everybody to do, and so it's just really cool, and that was a huge adventure, and it was really trippy going back to Savannah though, because like I would get off work, and so I'm leaving the Trustees, and it used to be I would leave the Trustees and be like, I wonder what John and Connor are watching right now, or I wonder, you know what I mean? Like it was just kind of like you guys were up to something. So like I would get off work and I'd be like, gonna go back to house, and then that would cross my mind for like a second, and then I'd be like, whoa, chill out, Dustin.
Wait a minute.
You've graduated.
It's 3 years
You
later.
have graduated. Yes. And so flash forward, and now you're in a hotel. But so it was a lot of fun, and Norman Reedus was pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounded like fun, man. Oh, son of a bitch. Stupid thing fell over. I thought my Kermit mug was going to break there for a second.
No.
Really?
Not the Kermit mug.
Really glad it didn't.
I know.
What have you watched since then? I mean, you been watching anything good? Any good TV? Any good movies?
As far as television goes, I've been looking for something now that Breaking Bad's over, something that I can kind of latch onto. And really, honestly, there's nothing that is in the same league as Breaking Bad.
Right.
Because Breaking Bad was super serialized and just super involving. And what I have found is Almost Human, which airs Monday nights on Fox. It's really cool. It stars Carl Urban. And it's basically a cop show. It's a detective, procedural kind of deal. But it's set in the future when all police have a android partner. And so it's all about him and his android partner and their difference. And it's, good cop, bad cop, kind of, whatever. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's interesting and reminds me a bit of Blade Runner, which is a good thing. And, it's cool. But again, I'm really looking forward to seeing how Breaking Bad has kind of shifted the paradigm of television. It'll probably take a few seasons for it to really kind of kick into effect. But for now, I think Almost Human's a pretty good distraction until that time rolls around. But yeah, man, I bought Breaking Bad on Blu-ray, finished up my set there. I didn't get the big barrel, the $200 barrel,
right?
Because whatever. Yeah. But I already have all of them separately. So
yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, no, it's cool. So I'm debating on watch it. Well, I'm going to watch all the way through Breaking Bad again, but I think I'm going to wait until January to start it. But yeah, no, it's awesome, and so that's about it.
Yeah, I'm slowly putting Mrs. Hooper through the Breaking Bad ringer.
Yeah.
We've gotten about to the point. I don't think she'll ever talk about the show if she ever comes back to the podcast. But we just got to. Spoiler for Breaking Bad, but in season 2, it's that second to last episode where Jane dies.
Yeah.
And that put her in like a really because we had a brief discussion around that time about the big question is like when do you as a viewer cease to identify with Walt? Like when do you cease to side with him? When do you kind of think he's gone too far?
Right.
And she's one of those people who's not really with him in the beginning. Like she's pretty much like as soon as he decides to cook meth. Yeah. She's, which is everyone's kind of like, that's kind of the line everyone draws in the beginning too, but they're halfway against him,
Sure.
But that was one of those things where I think she realized that the show didn't put her in a good mood. How after a show you sort of like, you kind of like absorb that kind of whatever feeling you have.
Sure. At
the end of it. And I know what she means, but it doesn't like ruin my day. But it like puts her in like a supremely negative mood. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, all right, well, we're gonna have to take baby steps through this.
Yeah.
So we haven't watched the end of season 2 yet, but that's sort of how I'm rewatching the show. But lately, I've been I breezed through American Horror Story. I'm in the third season now, the Coven. I've only seen a little bit of the first episode. Not enough to make a judgment on it yet. But the first 2, and that's a show, it's weird. I never thought I'd watch it because all I ever saw that show were like the teasers on TV, which if you've seen those are scary. Like they're short and they're really unsettling.
Yeah.
And
kind of surreal feeling.
Yeah, and honestly, what's more unsettling about the show is like the DVD, like the box art. And like the credit sequence of each season, because it's all jumpy and there's weird stuff like bugs crawling around bodies and stuff, and people walking upside down upstairs and stuff like that. It's just some weird stuff.
That is weird, yeah.
The first episode of that first season was actually like scary, and I was like, God, I don't know if I can watch this show because it's gonna mess with me. But the rest of it has horror elements, but it's mostly just it's actually interesting. Like the first season is called Murder House, and are you familiar with the show's format at all?
No, I'm not.
Each season is a completely new story.
Okay.
New, timeline. A lot of the same actors, but none of the same characters.
Okay.
So, which they said by definition makes it an anthology.
Yes.
Series. So, the first season's called Murder House, and it's basically about, this house that Dylan McDermott and his wife and their kids move into. That's, and there's a bunch of characters who are ghosts who've died in the house, and it sort of progresses throughout the season with that. And that one was really interesting. The second one was called Asylum, and it was in the 60s, and it was based around this, insane asylum where they kind of kept all these lunatics, and James Cromwell's like this weird doctor experimenting on them, and Jessica Lange is this nun. Someone gets possessed at some point by the devil. That was a creepy scene. Like you can ask my wife like that. There's an exorcism scene that genuinely messed with me.
Really?
Just in the nature of evil. Like when you see a scene like that where you feel like the nature of the devil is pretty accurately portrayed. I mean, not like I know the guy and that's him, that's Satan, that's Satan all over. He's a jokester, but the way you would think like a real exorcism would go, like, it knows like everything about you, everything you've ever done, like all this stuff. It guilts you and this and it lies and all this stuff. And I was just like, and like, when you lose your cool or you start to feel sad, it just laughs at you. It's like, oh, this is so. It was really well done.
Yeah.
Anyway, that one was good. I wouldn't say it's as good as Murder House. And like I said, I don't know. For everyone I work with, that told me Coven's like insane. So that one's about like witches in New Orleans in the present day, and I think some occasional flashbacks to. All I saw was Kathy Bates put like an actual like bull's head onto like a slave of hers, like to torment him, and I was like, whoa.
Wow.
Like, whenever you see Kathy Bates, you're like, something bad's going to happen. And
yeah, you're already kind of scared.
Yeah, exactly. I'm terrified of Kathy Bates.
Yes.
So, yeah. So it's a good show. So I put the DVR on that. And I DVR'd a couple of things on TLC. One of them's called Extreme Cheapskates.
Oh, I saw that on Netflix.
Yeah, is that any good?
I haven't watched it, but I saw that it was on Netflix.
Oh no, I haven't watched it, but
I saw it, but I didn't watch it.
Yeah, so there that and a couple other things, but I've mostly just been here and there watching stuff kind of aimlessly. Things just cooled down. Like, we were in sweeps for a while, and then this football show we've been doing that split my schedule up. So I was working like 6 days a week at the station, like for about 3 months. So I was just so busy, and we were trying to move, and we're this and that, and blah 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 blah. Then my brother got married, and so yeah,
sweet.
Now everything's back to normal, so
awesome.
Relatively normal. So yeah. Anyway, well, interesting piece of news I wanted to discuss with you, because I don't see how we cannot. I was surprised the other day when one of the editors ran up to me and said, "You hear that Paul Walker's dead?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Really?" And I thought it was a hoax at first because they said he died in a fiery car crash.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, this can't be true. Like,
right, exactly. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, and apparently what I was listening to Adam Carolla, and he said that kind of accident like never happens. That's like a movie accident, like a car just catching on fire on impact. Like that just doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. And from what I can tell, they were in the middle of filming the next Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah,
Ray was on Thanksgiving break, and he was doing like a charity event relief for people, the typhoon, and was letting people test drive, like, he's like a car enthusiast or something, and it was I think it was his Porsche. Someone else was driving and was stupid. I don't know. But what struck me the most is they're like, the LAPD says speed was a factor, and I was like, oh really? Oh, thank God. Thank you for the clarification. I thought that, the car was in neutral and they were pushing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's a fiery car crash. Speed was a factor.
Yeah.
Thanks for the update there.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But if you've seen, like, any video of the scene, like, while it was still, like, or pictures of the fire, it's like, there's no walking away from that. That was a straight up insane. Yeah. So, it's pretty sad. Like, I found myself, and I don't know why obviously it's a human being, but I feel like we're sad because he's younger, and it wasn't like cancer and stuff. It was like, accident. And he seemed to be a genuinely nice guy. I mean, none of us know him personally.
Yeah, but you didn't hear a lot about him, like, like a lot of celebrities, like, oh, they go crazy or whatever. He just always seemed to be level-headed. And
maybe that played a little bit into, like, people kind of making fun of him in his career, because it's like, what's he done lately? And it's like, probably a lot of little things, but we know what he's not done lately. Had a public meltdown, or an illegitimate baby or something. You know what I mean? Like, So,
this is true.
It's kind of nuts. So, I mean, obviously, it's. I'm thoughts and prayers to his family, and I think he has a daughter. But it's just kind of like, I don't know. You don't really consider. I don't know. It's weird how we don't think about these things sometimes, unless it's like, a family member or like someone famous that we saw on the big screen. But I read that they're putting Fast 7 or whatever on like indefinite hiatus while they figure out what to do about it, because he hadn't. Right. It's not like Heath Ledger where they were done shooting his scenes. Like he still had stuff to shoot, so now they have to figure out how to write him out of the series.
I think they're here in Atlanta shooting.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, so that'll be kind of it's gonna suck, because you're like, man, like that series was kind of hitting its stride finally. You know? And now they kind of have to get rid of, permanently write out like the main, pretty much. It's arguable, I mean, who the main protagonist of the series is, but I feel like it was always like
But he's been there since the beginning.
Yeah, but it was always like a buddy cop venture with them. And only one of them's a cop for like a couple of the movies. But it's like if Mel Gibson had died while they were making Lethal Weapon 3. It's like, well, we still have Danny Glover, but we'll just make the rest of them with Danny Glover and Joe Pesci, and not Mel Gibson. So hopefully we still have a story. Yeah. I actually liked those movies too, like especially since they kind of rebooted them. Like I remember I saw Fast and Furious, the 4th one, in theaters, and I remember thinking like they're kind of turning these around, Yeah. And it seemed like everyone had a lot of fun making them, and
well, I was going along with this, I was at Walmart actually yesterday, and they have over their little scanners or whatever that they beep if you walk through it and you haven't paid for anything. Over their scanners, they always put advertisements for like movies or video games or something. Yeah. And so there's an advertisement for Fast and the Furious 6, and I guess it's coming out on Blu-ray or something. And so there's an ad for it, and people have actually like signed it like to Paul Walker, and I was like, that's kind of cool, like that people have identified with him that much, and he was kind of a butt of a joke for a little while, and it's kind of sad that someone like that who did seem such, lost my train of thought. Someone who seemed so nice got such a bad rap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think people still ultimately really identify with that character and with him, and it's good to see the support now. And it's kind of like I wish it had been there earlier too.
Yeah, exactly. It's we always kind of rush in, like no one's gonna say, I'm sorry for his family, but his movie still sucked. Like no one's gonna say that. Before his corpse is even cold. But I don't think that'll happen in this case because it was a fiery car crash. But I know that was in poor taste, but I couldn't resist.
Yes, but there you go.
Yeah, it'd be like if Keanu Reeves died. Like he was kind of the butt of a lot of jokes with acting and stuff. But we've seen that he's smarter and nicer than most people give him credit for.
Exactly, and I think you're right. I think that's a good comparison.
Yeah, it'd be the same if Keanu Reeves died. Keanu Reeves is a bigger star, I think, but like in terms of someone that people genuinely seem to like, and I don't know.
I always thought that they could do worse than to pick Paul Walker as Aquaman or the Flash or something. Like that was always something that I could see very easily. Yeah, and so I like him. I thought.
So
it's sad.
Other than that, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that's really that big that happened recently. I mean, I saw Thor 2, so that was all right. I'd kind of like to rent it again when it comes out, but at least I'm kind of caught up on the Marvel universe.
Yeah, I enjoyed Thor 2. I thought the biggest flaw of it was that it had the weakest villain probably of the entire cinematic universe. He just wasn't very interesting.
No. And I think that you were telling me earlier that you are kind of less excited for kind of the rest of the Marvel universe.
Yeah, it's really strange because
to take the most interesting movies that are coming out right now,
right,
and not
and lessen the anticipation of them. It's after the Avengers, we've had 2 movies. So we had Iron Man 3, which I think you probably know. I didn't particularly care for very much.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was good, but not great. And then Thor 2, I did enjoy better than Iron Man 3, just because I had more fun with it. But it certainly had its problems, but yeah, it's really, really strange because it's not that I'm not going to see them anymore, because I will, but it's that I don't have any anticipation for them anymore. There are not going to be moments where I'm like, oh man, 2 more weeks, can't wait. I'm probably never going to do that again. It's just going to be, oh, it's out, I guess I'll go see it. And it kind of sucks. And I don't know if it's just because it's been oversaturated, that they've just kind of been spreading themselves too thin, or if it's just all the news. Like there's constantly news about those movies, and I don't know if it's just the fact that we're going to have to sit through Guardians and Ant-Man and Doctor Strange and whatever else before we finally wrap the whole thing up with Avengers 3, which I assume is going to be kind of the bookend of the thing. I don't know where they're going to go from there.
Everyone dies.
Yeah, the end. But maybe they'll kill Stan Lee. Like, they'll have a cameo in that, and they'll kill him, and then it'll be the end. When he dies, the screen just goes black, and it's just the end. His imagination
died.
Whole,
not only that, but all the characters, cease to exist because...
Yeah, they just disappear.
It. Thanos goes back in time and kills Stan Lee, but then, the whole universe just, falls into a black hole, and that's it.
Implodes. That would be awesome.
He knows
that would actually be really cool.
He knows by killing Stan Lee, he's also killing himself, but he knows he's taken, all the Avengers with
everyone
him,
with
all
him.
the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, everyone just...
Yeah.
just out of existence. Or he goes back in time
awesome.
and, kills Stan Lee's mom.
I wish he would go back in time and get rid of Amazing Spider-Man, because that would be amazing.
Well, I guess he would be, technically, so at least we can thank him for that.
Yeah, thank you, Thanos.
Yeah.
Saved us from that travesty.
Infinity Gauntlet can erase Mark Webb's awful work.
Yeah, which, by the way, we're going to have to talk about that in a minute. But yeah, it's just that I don't have much of anticipation for the films anymore. And for Captain America, it's just kind of like, yeah. And same with Guardians, and, so whatever.
Here's what I think of those movies. To me, what was always the most interesting part of them, the first movie that kind of got us even interested, and they know it in this universe, was Iron Man.
Yeah.
And I've always, we've talked about this, and I think if you enjoyed the Iron Man movies as much as me, maybe you'd be more invested in the series still. But
sure.
That's what divides the two of us, and it's like, it does need to be more than that, and I'm only ever looking forward to the next movie that Robert Downey Jr.'s in, because I'm interested in that suit. I'm interested in him. I'm interested in that. I'm interested in seeing the Hulk. I'm interested in the core Avengers. Yeah. I loved every one of the Phase 1 films, and I loved the Avengers. And I like it, and I really liked Iron Man 3, but I was also thinking, now we're getting to this Phase 2 where they're spreading out, and they're making more stuff, which is great. I love that they're making more, that they're expanding the universe, because that's going to bring characters to life that people don't know. At the same time, though, I feel it's just like, what can I compare it to? I don't know, but it's just, I don't know, it's a relatable feeling, but you feel like if I don't watch every one of these movies, I'm not going to understand something in the movies I do watch. I can't watch Avengers 2 without watching Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor 2. And like I told you, the reason I even saw Thor 2, I was going to see it eventually, but I went ahead and saw it now so that I could just kind of read about the universe without spoiling it for myself. I am excited for Captain America 2, but not in the way where I'm going to rush out and see it. It's more of how are they going to tie this into the universe, and it's only slightly more interesting than just reading about what they do.
Sure.
And so I don't know if it's just if they're diluting, if there's too many people in the pool, and it's not as interesting,
I think that's I think that's probably it, because
it's becoming less focused on the core Avengers that I liked in the first place, and more of these like talking raccoons and a bald chick and Benicio del Toro.
It's exactly that, because like you, I like Iron Man, I like Hulk, I like Thor, I like Captain America.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I hate Hawkeye. And I hate Black Widow.
Yeah.
I think they're worthless characters that need to be removed because they don't serve a purpose. So when I see in Captain America 2 all the scenes with Black Widow, I'm like, I don't like you. I don't want to see this movie. And
I wish I could see Dustin's eyes right now. He's just like incensed.
No, it's so true, because I hate Black Widow so much.
Yeah.
And I hate Scarlett Johansson, and I hate everything. But and that overrides my love for Captain America.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit of that, because I don't have any interest in the Guardians of the Galaxy, but I know I have to see it. So it's kind of like two things. One, there's a lot of characters that I feel are taking away from the characters I like. And number two, it feels like a chore, because I have to go see that movie, and I know I have to do it, and there's no way around it. If I'm going to continue watching Avengers, I have to see this movie. And that to me is like, ugh. And, it would be like, if you were watching an anthology, TV show, or, I guess it's like the comics, where sometimes when they do the death of Superman, you've got to go pick up the Justice League book, even though you don't care, just to get that whole story. And, it's just, to me, that's a little aggravating, and it kind of makes the movies seem more like a Saturday morning cartoon than an actual legit standalone film. Mm-hmm. And, for me, and obviously I think I'm probably in the minority here, but for me, I've just lost interest. And although I will keep seeing them, and I'm sure I will keep enjoying them, I don't look forward to them anymore, is my thing.
They're not an event for you anymore.
They're not.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And I wonder if it's because there's been too many of them, or because, like, okay, I've been through 3 Iron Man events, 3, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like 2 Thor events, and so it's like, I don't know if, I don't know. It's weird, because, in all honesty, like, they're not, like, the Man of Steel wasn't all that different from what Marvel's doing. But in some, I mean, obviously I like Superman a lot. So that's one of the reasons I like that movie. But there is something about it that seemed like it was at least trying to delve deeper than say Thor 2. And while I enjoyed Thor 2, it just didn't satisfy me on a deeper level. And so I guess that, there's a lot of different things, but they are fun, and they are, Thor 2 is hilarious. I laughed more at that than a lot of the comedies from this year. And so, there you go. That's just me.
And we've talked before about this in a broader sense, about how I'm going to the theater less and less because I'm not finding the products I'm paying for to be worth the money. And part of it, a lot of it's just to do with, our financial situation right now. I just don't want to spare the $10 to see a movie, because most of the time I just don't have time. And the other times I'm just like, I could be spending this 2 hours doing something else. I could either be helping my wife around the house, or working longer and, making money instead of spending it.
Right.
Maybe it's like you said, where we're at the point where we don't just have the kind of time and the money to just sort of play around and watch movies at home and then go out with our friends and watch movies elsewhere. And I'm okay with that. It's really just my interest in a lot of these storylines that's causing this conundrum, because most people our age are not concerned with this. They spend about as much money on movies a year as I do, maybe even more, to be honest. And they're fine with that. So it's tough kind of being interested in these franchises and stuff, but not really having the capital to keep up with them in theaters.
Right.
That kind of sucks, but I'm just thinking about all like the films that I want to keep up with. And I use the term keep up with more than see, because I want to keep up with the Marvel films. So I know, like, well, I got to see Thor, and then next year I got to see Captain America and Guardians of the Galaxy, and then the year after that I got to see the Avengers. You know, and after that I got to see, you know, Iron Man 4 or whatever's gonna be next. And it feels more like when I mark my calendar for a bill that's upcoming.
Yeah.
You know, all I'm thinking about is, okay, like I literally write down the amount, like, you know, there's a notepad right here with all my bills on it in chronological order. And at this point, it's going to be like, oh, okay, blah, 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 to Verizon on this date for this. This is the final date. It's going to be like, blah, 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 $10 to Captain America. You know?
Yeah.
And I don't like it feeling like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe it's better that I'm not married to somebody who's like, let's go out and see a bunch of movies. I don't know. I mean, that's a statement on the whole industry itself, but especially with these films, like these films are kind of barely still enough to make that an exception for. Yeah. You know?
No, that's very true. I think this is one of the first times in film history where you have to really think about the product that you're going to get for your price. And it's never really been that way before, because I feel like there was a higher percentage of it being good, whatever you see, back in the day. And then it was also probably less expensive. And now it just feels it feels like a chore, or like, you know, a bill that you have to pay. And so you have to pick and choose and say, okay, this year it's The Hobbit and Anchorman and Thor, and that's it. And it sucks that you have to do that now. And that's an indictment of the industry.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
because it's one of the only industries where the product doesn't matter, where the product isn't regulated. Yeah. It's all about, you know, money and, you know, whatever.
And it's like
I think we've had that conversation before.
Yeah, like, and even to the point where even if the product, like even products that look good, and you know, like The Hobbit, like I want to see it, but even that hits my feeling like a bill thing, because I want to see it, but I'm thinking about, you know what I mean? I'm just thinking about the fact that if I'm going to, I'm going by myself, and I don't know. See, that's where VOD starts to appeal to me, because then it's like, you know, even especially if they made it cheaper. What if VOD was cheaper than the theaters? Yeah, you know, like if I could just, you know, even a week later, like talk to my wife and say, hey, we could take $5 right now. We could watch The Hobbit in this living room. We could pause it. It'd be in high definition. We could cook. You know, would you want to do that? She'd be like, hell yeah, that's all right. Yeah. Okay. You know? No. I mean... Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know.
But, you know, there again, that's an indictment of theaters. You know, they're supposed to make it an event, and they're not doing their part. And, you know, that goes back to why The Avengers doesn't feel like an event to me anymore. Yeah. It's because movies generally don't feel like an event to me.
We've kind of seen as far as they can be pushed right now. Like, I mean, even with... And that's sort of untrue, because every year we get something that goes broader. Like we got, you know, Inception, and then like, you know, a couple of years, and then there's a few that push just CG really far, like the Avengers or Transformers or Superman. And then we have movies like Gravity, where there's also a technological kind of jump. But we're pretty much at the point where there are no more big jumps right now. We're making little jumps, but that's. But then it becomes, let's see what machines can do now, and not let's look at this story. You know,
That's true, and I mean, I'm one of those people that of late I'm beginning to believe that there are no original ideas left. Yeah, like, and I think it's been that way for a long time. there hasn't been an original idea in a very long time.
Right.
Most of the things that we look at and say, oh, what an original idea, probably stems, at least in theme, from the Bible or, from all kinds of old stories. I mean, you've got Odysseus. I mean, the hero's journey is the same today as it was when Homer wrote it. And the story of Breaking Bad is about a man who makes terrible decisions and it ruins his life. That's not unlike, Samson or David in the Bible. It's all, the same thing. So even in theme, I mean, obviously, King David didn't make meth and, but it's the same sort of story, I mean, in theme. And so it's, to me, I believe there's probably not any original ideas left. But that's not to say that you can't get caught up in a story. You can't get caught up with characters. And Breaking Bad proved it. Breaking Bad is to me what has proven that originality doesn't really matter. And even like things that would normally bother me, like coincidence, or it doesn't really bother me if the characters are intriguing, if the storylines are intriguing. And to put it plainly, movies are not trying that anymore.
No.
And for the most part, by and large, movies that are in wide release do not try to be compelling. It's all about, okay, we're going to make a movie and it's going to be based on Battleship because the people that played the game will buy the movie. And it's like, that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
I bought that game when I was 5 and I hated it then and I still hate it now. And, so there you go. It's just whatever.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by books.
Brought to you by pessimism.
Yeah. I've got way more books that I've bought over the years that I haven't read. And all I can think about, maybe it's just like maybe there's just a constant feeling of, I mean, there's a bookshelf right behind me.
Yeah.
Maybe I look at it every day and I just think of the term waste. I'm just looking at like, God, I haven't read these yet. Like, I probably paid $10 for each of those books. And like, there's part of it's just like, why don't you look at what you already have kind of a thing for entertainment? But a lot of it is what we're talking about. Like, they're not doing anything new with a lot of the movies these days. And I still...
But, books really aren't that different, though.
Right, exactly. But, like, at least, like, I bet the film industry wishes it was, 10, 15 years ago when a bunch of movies were coming out that everyone thought were original and most people didn't know came from books.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, so many... Even Shutter Island came from a book.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's even Shutter Island, like I'm saying, the Great Shutter Island, but like,
yeah.
But a lot of movies I really liked that came out of like the mid early 2000s, I read up on them because I was interested in them, and it's like, adapted from this novel, and I was like, what?
Or a true event, or exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
that's right.
And then even the ones on true events, that's what I hate the most. The ones on true events are hardly ever true.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But I think we sometimes have a tendency to put books on a pedestal as being a higher art or a higher level of storytelling. I don't think that's true. I mean, if you look at something that's really successful like Harry Potter, which I love Harry Potter, but let's face it, it's not really doing much that is super original. I mean, when you think about the 3 main characters, those 3 characters have appeared over and over.
Yeah, they're archetypes.
They're simply just the main archetypes, and then you have someone like Voldemort. I mean, Voldemort's a compelling villain, and he's great. Yeah. And he's one of the best of recent the recent decades. I mean, he is a great villain, but he is just Sauron. I mean, Sauron.
They're all basically the devil.
It's exactly right. They're all just versions, whatever that author thought of the devil, that's what it is. And so, honestly, I mean, that's why people look into Harry Potter and say, oh, look at the Christian themes or look at the Christian things, which is ironic because when it first came out, everybody was like, oh, that's not even Christian. And but when you think about it, I mean, it's true. Like, good versus evil. It's been done 1 billion times. Harry Potter is Lord of the Rings. Harry Potter is Star Wars. Harry Potter is all of these things, and they've essentially, originality is stealing from the things that you like and creating new character names. And and so, you know, when you put books up on a pedestal like, oh, look at Harry Potter, you also forget, like, yeah, but look at what... Okay, so there's Lord of the Rings. It's a great film. But then it spawns terrible fantasy films like... give me an example here, like...
Percy Jackson,
which is also based on a book series, or Aragon, which is also based on a book series, or Mortal Instruments, which is based on a book series,
or Beautiful Creatures, or Twilight,
or 50 Shades of Grey. You think about this, and so you have a good thing that spawns a bunch of bad things, and that's exactly what's happened with Harry Potter, and that happens in every art world. I mean, it's in film, it's in books, it's in painting, and people have always tried to copy the masters and do their own little thing, and it's always just garbage. And so it's just the same with everything. And so anyway, this episode really is brought to you by Cynicism.
What's crazy about it too is it's like you said with Harry Potter, like it's like one step forward and then like a million steps back, because for every Harry Potter there's 10 other franchises that are trying to capitalize on what people liked about the Harry Potter movies and books, and some of them turn out not really that great, like the Twilight movies, and then some of them turn out a little better, like apparently, like I said, what I hear from it, like the Hunger Games overall, because apparently Catching Fire was way better than the first movie.
That's what I heard.
And so because of that, I'd like to see that. But again, like that's $10 there. Like I can't see that and The Hobbit and Thor and Walter Mitty and The Wolf of Wall Street. Like I can't just. That's $50.
Right. Exactly.
I could gas up my car instead. You know,
exactly.
Like, and maybe
once.
Yeah, once exactly. What's crazy is I was reading about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and after I watched Thor the other day, and it was talking about influences on other studios doing the same thing. And of course, DC was delayed in doing this, and it's debatable when they came up with the universe idea. You could argue it definitely looks from the outside that DC didn't consider doing a shared universe until Marvel did, but I also know that DC was in a long legal battle with the Schuster estate on Superman, or the Justice League or something, that prevented them from really doing anything until Schuster's relatives, lost, and Warner Brothers was like, okay, thanks for holding us up.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, you also have to keep in mind that Marvel, DC's been in bed with Warner Brothers for a very long time, and Marvel has the benefit of owning its own studio, which I'm sure DC would love to do, but they're probably still under contract with Warner Brothers and will be for the foreseeable future. So that Warner Brothers, they have to go, everything that DC wants to do has to go through Warner Brothers, and if Warner Brothers isn't convinced that the Flash will make money, they're not going to make it. Whereas Marvel, they can look at it and say, oh, Ant-Man has a great history. Let's make it. Okay. Yeah. And that's about it. And so.
And really, like, so I was reading about the Justice League and this, and so also how Fox and Sony want to build an entire universe around Spider-Man because of the multitude of villains he has, but they want to do it with Mark Webb's Spider-Man, so that kind of turns me off of it. But they want to also do one with the Fantastic Four. And what's interesting about this is that I would want to see more of those movies, especially if they're done right, because I know that at least for the next 10, 15 years, I'm going to get entertaining movies in modern versions of characters that I'm interested in. But what I also know is going to happen, and maybe this episode is kind of indicative of the early version of that, is the great thing. I'd love to be Kevin Feige right now, because the great thing about coming up with all of this first is that you do it first, so you got novelty. If you do it right, then even when it's not new anymore, it's good. And then when it's not new anymore, everyone else will still look at yours as the golden age, because everyone's going to think in 10 years. Think about it. Even when Iron Man came out, everyone was like, we've been doing comic book movies for 10 years. and that's just, there's a ton of them. And so I'm amazed that we got past that and people still like them because now that's a shared universe.
Yeah.
In 10 years, they're going to be like, we don't like shared universe comic book movies anymore. And then Warner Brothers and Sony and Fox are all going to be like, well, damn it! Because we've been spending like 20 years developing all this stuff, you know, and so many lawyers and so many estates and this and casting people and working out and trying to stay in shape, and Hugh Jackman and, you know, and it's crazy because you just have to chase what people like.
Yeah, and, that's true. And studios are not very good at that. Studios are slow at it. They're not run by people who understand, for the most part. Yeah. And, you know, that's why you get a lot of rip-offs, and that's why you get a lot of, like, too late ideas. And
and maybe that's why we're getting, I think another reason that we're getting this this kind of cynicism with viewers and people the whole this gets old fast thing. A lot of it's a generational thing that we've had discussions on before, but kind of an offset of that is with things like the internet and Netflix and Hulu, just services, it's made a lot of content more accessible. And so there's less and less, people are exposed to the stuff that maybe you saw when you were younger. People have been able to watch all the seasons of SNL and catch up. You know, your son or daughter has seen more of SNL and remembers it more clearly than you did when you saw it live. And so, you know, a bunch of people have, you know, when the Hunger Games come out, everyone's like, Battle Royale. A movie they never... If this was 20 years ago and that movie had come out, they never would have seen it because it's a foreign film. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they never would have known about it. And everyone... And they would have liked Hunger Games way more because half as many people wouldn't have known about the book because the book was being promoted through, like, Audible.com and podcasts that these people probably listen to. And... It just wouldn't have been as popular of a book, and so it wouldn't have been as popular of a movie. So it would have been more likable because it was new, and there's no Japanese version of it that already exists.
Right.
And the people who compared it to Battle Royale had not read the other two books, which is much less like Battle Royale.
Battle Royale, yeah.
So all this stuff, so half of these people saying like, oh, I don't know, nothing new, 20 years ago would have been like, this is ingenious. And so I don't know who's dumber. You know, I don't know if our parents are dumber or we're dumber. Like, are our parents dumber because they thought that this was all awesome stuff, but there were other versions of it elsewhere that they hadn't heard of or earlier? Or are we dumber because, like, you know, I don't think that having the access to it makes us smarter. Right. You know, I think
it's true.
I don't know. Like, I don't know what it is. Or are we just on an equal playing field? Like, we're same intelligence, but we just feel smarter because we've seen it because we can stream it to our computers.
Right.
You know, and maybe that's why, because everyone's like, oh, I don't know, I've kind of seen everything I can see. And to be fair, I do feel like that. It's kind of a narcissistic feeling, but I do sometimes feel like I've sort of seen everything I expect to see from movies. Like, I don't...
Well, that's true, and that's an interesting point, because I was just thinking that as someone who's read comic books for a long time and has seen a lot of cartoons and a lot of things dealing with these characters, Iron Man and Hulk and whatnot, I've seen them interact before. So the novelty of seeing them interact in live action isn't as novel to me because I've seen those characters interact before. Live action or cartoon or comic book doesn't matter. The characters are still the characters. And so maybe that novelty is worn off on me quicker than most people because I've seen it so much. And so maybe that's it. I forget what point you were making.
Yeah,
I just kind of steamrolled that.
Well, and part of it too is like like even in the 70s when you can study story structure. And part of it is that we've studied structure and that. But people who you don't even have to be a student of it. All you have to be is observant, you know, to kind of be able to predict structure. Like Ian can predict how most movies he sees will end. He has never studied film. He just pays attention, You know,
Yeah.
and so we every time I'd see a movie with him, he'd lean over and be like, "That guy did it," and at the end of the movie, that guy did it.
Yeah.
And the whole movie, I'm
That's
thinking,
true.
no, it could have been him, possibly. You're stupid, Ian, and then it's like I'm wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Like and like I was telling you earlier today too. I got in like an argument with my wife about Hallmark movies, and you know, and the reason I don't really like holiday movies is because they rely on familiarity of family and love to sucker you into feeling bad about not liking those movies. And how I told her that I just thought that the plot elements were formulaic and you have generic characters. And I said, and that's all fine when you have unique situations. At least sci-fi movies put me in a world I'm interested in seeing. But but watching Grandma's House on Christmas doesn't interest me. Because I have a grandma and I've been to Christmas. Like,
I've done that.
I've done it. It's not even like she's in like a big house or you know she's a robot or something. Like it's
Dude, we need to make that movie. Robot Grandma.
Robot Grandma. Like when it's
Robot Grandma.
When it's I don't know. It's
starring Doris Roberts.
You just feel like I've seen this dynamic too many times.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'll always feel that way. If I just need a break from it, or if, like, how many different stories can be told? Like, there's only so many relationships that are interesting to watch.
Yeah.
So maybe I just feel like I've seen them all.
Yeah.
And I just need I just need them to be told to me in interesting ways again.
Sure.
It's like they've not only have they run out of character dynamics, they've run out of interesting ways to make them unfold in front of me.
Sure. And I think, like I said, I think things will shift.
Yeah.
For now, they're kind of stuck in this weird, like, phase, but I think, you know, Spielberg and Lucas sort of predicted the fall of the studio system sort of as we know it in the next few years. And I think they're probably right on the money. Although I wouldn't put it past the studios to stay around longer than expected. But once I think they're going to realize that people are tiring of seeing things, the same things, and you know, it sucks. It sucks for me because for a few reasons. One, if we're talking about comic books, we're talking about, you know, characters that we like. I like DC Comics, and to see them come in so late to the game when everyone's already tired is a bummer. On the other hand, it sucks because, you know, I'm a fan of movies, and I want to be like entertained in a way I've never been entertained before, and so it sucks for a third reason, because as someone who has studied movies, I have seen a lot of things. And, you know, it makes me wonder what I can be shown that I haven't seen, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so anyway, you know, I think things are going to shift when they start realizing that people are like me and they're going to tire of things. And when they do, they're going to start losing money. Now, like I said, though, I'm tired of it, but I'm not going to stop spending my money on it.
Yeah.
Which is a weird, you know, like The Amazing Spider-Man. The sequel's coming out. I hated the first one. I'm probably going to hate this one, but I'm probably going to see it. And the reason is because of two things. One, it says the word Spider-Man, so I'm probably going to go see it because I love Spider-Man. And number two, because I really want to make fun of it, and I want to be knowledgeable of what I'm making fun of. So people are like me. There are people like me who are tired of it, but they're not yet being tight with their money. But that's going to change. And over the next couple of years, we're going to see, I think, a decline in viewership because people are going to start tiring of it and reaching the point where they're going to stop spending money. And it's probably going to be a little bit at first because it's going to take a while for everyone else to catch up. Not saying that, you know, the people that stop spending their money on it first are better or smarter, but just that that's going to happen, and it's going to happen slowly. And over time, they're going to lose money on stuff that they think is a sure bet.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like Avatar. There's going to be 3 sequels to Avatar. They're already writing them, all 3 of them. I can't imagine Avatar 4 doing as good as Avatar 1 or 2 or 3. I think the Avatar is going to go down and down in sales every time, and because the novelty is worn off, and I think it's only a matter of time before it does that with superhero movies too. And the reason I think we're focusing on that is because that seems to be the biggest producer of event films is comic books. And so anyway,
like I'm way more interested in the I don't even know if the characters are right, but like the Black Panther show on Netflix and the Daredevil show on Netflix. I'd rather see it in long form. You know, I mean, like we've talked about why television seems to be better than movies these days, and because of just long form, character oriented storytelling, and you know, if they do it right, you know, those stories can be much better served on television.
Yeah.
You know, and give some unknown kind of a
stepping stone.
Yeah, a stepping stone, and
yeah, it's like Fox is coming out with DC. I guess has sort of focused on TV for a little while, so they've got Arrow on television.
Yeah,
and they just got rid of Smallville, so they've got Arrow on television, and this is ignoring their mini animated series they've had. But they've got, I think, 3 or 4 different shows in the works now, and one of them is called Gotham, which is going to be on Fox, and it's about Commissioner Gordon at the Gotham City Police Department in his first few years before Batman shows up in Gotham. Now, you know, whether that's a great idea or not, I don't know, but it sounds more promising to me than Ben Affleck's Batman. And you know, not to say I think Ben Affleck will be a great Batman.
Yeah,
I'm not one of those people who've ever really had a problem with that. You know, whatever. If Zack Snyder, you know, saw something in him, sure, that's great. I trust. As weird as it is to say, and I never thought I would, I trust Zack Snyder. To deliver a different and kind of cool Batman, and I trust I trust modern Ben Affleck with a character like that.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I'm interested in seeing both, but I think the Gordon thing is piquing my interest a little more because it's something I haven't seen.
Exactly.
You know, what does Gordon do before Batman shows up, and how ultimately he's got to fail because that's why he needs Batman. That's why Gotham needs Batman. And I think that's a cool thing to show a man who is at the bottom of the ladder slowly work his way up to be commissioner and still fail at every turn to clean up the city. And then of course you have, you know, his family stuff too. And so to me, if they take the route that I hope they do, which is very character oriented, then that has a stronger premise to me, to watch a man fail over and over despite the best intentions, and try to raise a family in a disgusting place. And, you know, so there you go. But anyway, all that is to serve your point, which is that long form is kind of more intriguing right now.
Yeah, it seems to be what people want. So,
yeah. What's something positive we can talk about for half a second?
I don't know.
If you have trouble thinking of that,
I don't know. I mean, I'll probably watch more Planet Earth tonight. That'll be nice.
Sweet. Dang it.
Oh.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Arkham Origins is good.
Yeah. So I'll probably play some more of that this week.
How far are you?
Not very far. I haven't gotten it's been such a busy month. I just haven't had time to do it. But maybe I'll have time this month. That'll be nice.
Sweet. They just released a new DLC pack for it.
Uh-huh.
Which, by the way, I hate DLC because I already paid $60 for the game.
Uh-huh.
I should be entitled to the whole game.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, the point is, it's called Initiation, and it looks like it's modeled after Ra's al Ghul's like chateau in Batman Begins, like up in the mountains and stuff. And you play as Bruce before he became Batman. Like training with the League of Assassins, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty sweet.
He has a beard. I'm
That's
like,
cool.
What's up, Bruce?
Hey, Bruce.
Got a beard going on.
That's cool.
Beating the crap out of people.
Sword fighting.
Yeah. But you have to pay however much it is for that DLC.
Whatever.
Which I ain't doing. 'Cause
No.
I already bought the game. I never buy DLC. That junk is stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're gonna release it 3 weeks after the game, just put it in the game. Anyway.
They're just there to irritate you, Dustin.
I know, it really is.
Yeah. All right.
But you know.
Well, that's episode 47.
A little more pessimistic than I thought it might be, but
Yeah.
you know.
Like we said, the episode's brought to you by Cynicism.
But it's true, and it's something that is good to be able to pick up on.
Mm-hmm. For real. Maybe we'll have a happier 48. Who knows?
Hopefully. Hopefully.
All right, Dustin.
All right, Hooper.
Oh, I'll talk to you later.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye, all you lovely people out there. So lovely.
You look so nice tonight. If her eyes were sad, I could just look at her eyes and tell her that she's beautiful. Would you let me see beneath your beautiful? Would you let me see beneath your mind? Take it off now, girl. Take it off now, girl. I want to see inside. Would you let me see beneath your beautiful tonight? That's a song.
I figured.
But it sounds like he's like kind of like making her undress. Like, take it off now, girl.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't want to. I said, take it off now, girl. I want to see inside. And then
Who sings that song?
I don't know.
I assume it's not Peter Lorre, because that's who it sounded like.
Take it off now. Take it off. I want to see what's inside of you. Like he's gonna put her on a gurney and like open her up.
Yes.
And take the
Hannibal
anesthesia.
Lecter style.
Yeah. I want to see your insides, but you're beautiful. But I want to see beneath the beautiful. Like that's how either the song is misspelled, or the beautiful is a noun because it's beneath your beautiful. Y-O-U-R, not Y-O-U''re.
Right.
Beneath you are beautiful. It's like I want to
Yes.
see you have beautiful. I want to see underneath it.
Yes.
I don't know.